It is 3 o'clock.
Okay, I see by the clock on the wall, it is 3 o'clock. Time to call to order the Board of Directors regular meeting for Monday, December 19th, 2022. Please stand and join me in saluting our nation's flag. Place your hand over your heart, repeat after me. I
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
While we're standing, please remain standing. I have a couple of acknowledgements here. I want to enter into a moment of silence for a number of people that have passed away recently. First, I want to acknowledge Dory's grandmother passed away. Dory's grandmother was Teresa. When you see the picture on her wall in her office, you can tell where Dory gets her personality from. It's really an awesome photograph. Our attorney, John and Dottie Pinckney, passed away. That's your parents, and that's really, especially this time of year, that's really tragic. Danny's father, Paul Friend, passed away. And the last I want to recognize is someone that not everybody knows, but some of us do. And that's Phil Williams, who is on the board of directors for the Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District. I serve with him on the Riverside County Oversight Board. May they all rest in peace, and I want to leave you with some words from the Lakota Sioux. When you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. We will be known forever by the tracks we leave. Rest in peace. Okay, you may be seated. We have a roll call, please.
Director Meyerhoffen.
Present.
Director Duff.
Present.
Director Griffith.
Present.
Director Sewell.
Here.
And President Martin.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Okay. Moving on to item 5, we have a very lovely presentation today. Special recognition of outgoing board member Nancy Wright. Martin?
Oh, thank you, President Martin. Let me start, and I'll be very, very brief. I promise, Nancy. Let me start by thanking Nancy for the 34 years of leadership that she has provided this community. Nancy has lived in this district for most of her adult life, and I doubt that anyone has or will serve for this length of time and contribute more. I've served under Nancy's leadership for 18 years, and we have, to quote Charles Dickens, been through the worst of times and the best of times. We went from facing well over $1 billion in development to the worst recession in history, where we experienced a 30% reduction. Remember that? In our production. That was the most of any district in the valley. In fact, most of the districts didn't see any change in their production. Almost overnight, we went from 59 budgeted employees to 37 employees. We cut our costs drastically for nearly a decade, and we're in good condition right now. To accomplish this, we formed a community advisory committee that met for nearly a year and a half, actually, to create the district's first financial plan. The district is in a very healthy condition and ready for the future now. Personally, Nancy has been a great soldier for this district. I think that was the thing that I thought I should say the most. She has represented the district at Aqua JPIA for the past decade. I don't know of any time when we weren't representing us there. She has been elected twice to the Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO, by the county special districts. And this is a very strong position for us because it keeps our keeps our position in that formation issues that come up. She has been appointed by 3 governors from both parties to be on the Regional Water Quality Control Board. Again, giving us powerful representation on a very influential board. And just recently, we broke ground on the regional reclamation facility that will expand our service greatly and provide the opportunity for better management of our water supply in the future. The plant garnered a $68 million grant to fund the entire project, never heard of before. I've never had an entire project that we've been able to fund through a grant. And I'm telling you, this is the proverbial tip of the iceberg. But most of all, Nancy's legacy will have a lasting positive impact for the communities that we serve. And thank you, Nancy, for your great leadership. And with that, we have a 3-minute video we'd like to have you take the time to watch. Can I have music?
Okay,
Memories too, Art.
yeah.
There were some good pictures there.
At this point, I'd like to read a letter that was sent to us, or to you, I guess, would be a better way to phrase it, by Congressman Ruiz. It's addressed to Nancy Wright, Director, Mission Springs Water District. Dear Director Wright, on behalf of the 36th Congressional District, I'd like to congratulate you on your 34 years of outstanding service to the community of Desert Hot Springs. Your leadership as a director on the board of the Mission Springs Water District has had a tremendous impact on our community. You should be proud of this accomplishment. The projects implemented under your leadership on the board of the district leave an impressive legacy. The work you've done to protect the water quality is remarkable. The Groundwater Quality Protection Project and the Regional Water Reclamation Facility Project enhanced our water quality and will improve the public health in our region for generations to come. You went above and beyond in your exceptional service, particularly with the Salton Sea Advisory Committee, the Riverside County Local Agency Formation Commission, the Coachella Valley Association of Governments, the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission, the California Regional Water Quality Control Board, and the National Groundwater Foundation Board. The work you completed throughout your career with these various commissions, boards, and organizations facilitated vital, lasting improvements to the Coachella Valley water infrastructure. Once again, congratulations. Thank you for your decades of dedicated service. It's always a pleasure meeting with you and your fellow board members during your annual visits to Washington. And I look forward to staying in touch. Sincerely, Raul Ruiz, Member of Congress. So I want to stand and give you an applause for that. That was just applause.
Hey.
We also are anticipating a letter from the County Board of Supervisors. Unfortunately, they're a little bit behind their schedule and it wasn't ready to be presented today, but it is forthcoming from the county. At this point, I'd like to open up public comments. Do we have members of the public that would like to address this momentous occasion?
President Martin, we sure do. We're going to begin with Pamela Edmondson. Go ahead, Pamela.
Board members and the Honorable Nancy, how are we going to get along without you? You've been as stable as our water and have been there for us for all these years. And I think I probably met you maybe in 2012, 13, when we came in and kind of helped to redo the board room and put in the control systems and the speakers. And I know you were so kind to us when Charlie was there fidgeting and trying to get everybody's voices and last minute things to work. And you said a kind word to him and to me, and you've just been, oh, so wonderful, Nancy. And how do we say thank you for your years of experience and everything? So thank you, thank you, thank you. We would sing to you, but we're both under the weather. And again, just thank you so very, very, very much. And I do want to hear your voice at least coming in to listen to some of the board meetings after the new year. So thank you. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela.
Next, we've got Councilwoman Jan Pye.
Hi, Nancy. I am going to miss you, as Congressman Ruiz said, you do make an impact, and I appreciate what you've done. I will miss you at special district sessions and etc. But you're still a member of the Women's Club, so I will see you there. I wish you good luck in your future endeavors and happy holidays.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you. And next we have Councilman Gary Gardner.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm speaking for myself, not on behalf of the city, but I know the city will be recognizing Nancy here when we get back in session in January. But I wanted to publicly thank Nancy Wright for her more than 30 years of service on the MSWD board and for all the state and regional boards she serves on and continues to serve on. Her knowledge of water issues and the history of water in our area have been invaluable, probably second only to Arden as far as the amount of knowledge in those heads there. I have had the pleasure to serve with Nancy on the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission for the last 4 years. and she's been great on there to watch over all of our issues in that board. And I'm sure, however, that she'll be watching over water issues still and will continue to be a resource for all of the water agencies in California. Nancy, your service has not gone unnoticed nor unappreciated. I, for one, will always remember your enthusiasm and your appearance on Huell Hauser's show talking about water issues in Desert Hot Springs. You leave a lasting, long legacy of service to water and to the community as a whole. And all of us in the Valley are going to miss seeing you on the board there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
And next we have Erica Felci from the Coachella Valley Association of Governments.
Thank you very much, honorable board members, Director Wright. It's my pleasure to be here today to acknowledge your work at CVAG and the CVCC. I must say our executive director, Tom Kirk, had a scheduling conflict he couldn't get out of, but did ask us to extend our appreciation to you. I was going through, I know everyone's going to laud all your years of service, and that includes 13 years here at CVAG. You were the inaugural member for Mission Springs on the E&E committee, our Energy and Environmental Resources Committee, and the inaugural member of our Coachella Valley Conservation Commission. I know I was talking to our staff and really wanted to get everyone's feedback on your service, because I think those words really play into the impact that you've had here in our agency. And our staff really wanted to express how important your knowledge in water was, as we were looking at conservation policies that could be replicated throughout the region. And at the CVCC, our plan dates back to 2008, but as you all know, it took a little bit longer to get Desert Hot Springs and Mission Springs in through the major amendment. And that wouldn't have happened without you helping champion those efforts. So we really appreciate that. It says a lot when you have a member as dedicated as you are, who is a regular attendee to our meetings. Your attendance record is stellar, and that shows your dedication. But what really shines is when you're out in the community and you can see your passion for preserving open space and water conservation. And that's what really shines through to all of us here. So thank you on behalf of both agencies. Thank you for your service, and good luck in retirement. Enjoy. You're always welcome back at our meetings, but like the board, we have a 3-minute policy. So I look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Erica.
And last but certainly not least, newly elected Director Bowman of Desert Water Agency.
What can I say? Nancy, you were something else when I got on the board. That's all I can say. From time to time, we'd have some disagreements about things, and we always figured it out. We worked it out, and we became, especially after I was first elected, we ultimately became very good friends. Your history with the water in our valley, your history with our town is truly outstanding. In fact, I will call you a GOAT, a greatest of all time. I think it's been said, your time on the board probably won't be repeated in my lifetime, on any board for that matter. Your stability there, your concern, your care, just exemplary for all of us. Thank you, when I joined on the board, for taking me under your wing, for spending the time with me, informing me about the history of MSWD and the water in the Coachella Valley. And thank you for becoming a friend. And I understand what it's like to move along, and I know you will move along successfully, because that's the kind of a person you are. You care, you're concerned, and from the bottom of my heart to you, wish you nothing but blessings, peace, and productivity as you have been. Truly the GOAT for MSWD. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. With that, is there anybody else?
That will conclude public comment.
Okay. Is there anybody, members of the board, that would like to say anything at this time? Ivan, is there?
I know I did say some comments last month, but again, I mean, just hearing to everyone that spoke today, it's hard to really put into words everything you've done for our community. So since before I was born, Nancy's been involved here in Desert Hot Springs and doing her best to help everyone here. And since as long as I can remember, she's been such a big part of Mission Springs and the Groundwater Guardians, and the list goes on. So personally, I'd like to thank you for all your help when I became a board member, as far as getting me up to speed. And she's just a wealth of water knowledge. And I'm sure you're going to stay involved, and I look forward to seeing you around. So thank you, Nancy.
Okay. Ted, did you want to say something? Okay, go ahead.
Nancy, I remember when I first met you back in 2001.
Director Meyerhoffen, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is your mic on?
I saw a green light.
There
There
we
it
go.
is. Nancy, I remember when I first met you back in 2001, when I first ran for the water board, we were running against each other, and the voters made a proper choice back then. I was little inexperienced. And I appreciate all the work that you've done since those years, and it's always a pleasure to see you at events so I hope you still come to the events and we can chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Robert?
Thank you for your years of service. Marion, I'm disappointed you did not put that one picture of her in that purple fluffy skirt. It's very prominent. I didn't get to work a long time with her, but I have known her for a while. I do have to say, tons of information. I was lucky enough to spend the majority of my time with her at the Aqua Conference, especially on the breaks. So she filled me in with lots of information. The one thing I can say at those conferences is that Nancy is the queen of getting freebies. Thank you. I got this wonderful pen. She stayed on task, hitting every exhibitor's table, selecting only the best. So thank you for that. Thank you for your years of service. I'm sure we'll still see you around, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Robert. Amber, do you want to say this? Okay, go ahead.
I also want to commend you, Mrs. Wright, and your decades of service on this board. I further want to commend your family and the sacrifices that they made that allowed you to serve for these decades here in this community. And the example you have set for your family and your children and the other children of Desert Hot Springs have obviously made an impact. I also want to take a moment and wish you and your family a very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and whichever way you celebrate. I hope that you have a very peaceful and love-filled season.
Thank you, Amber. The only thing I have left to say, I said pretty much what I wanted to say at the function at the recreation center, but all during the time that I got on the board, you were my mentor. And I can recall taking that trip with you and Arden to a Region 9 meeting in, was it Victorville or someplace? And I can still spot the car that we traveled in because of all the claw marks on the side of the car that I wanted to get out of the car. I heard so many acronyms. I heard so many who's who in politics and water. The complete breakdown of state water issues, national water issues, local water issues, CVAG, and all these different things on there. And I was just information overload. But I want to thank you for being my mentor and teacher for these many years, and congratulations. We have another little presentation here. I'll read it here, and then I'll come down and we can pose for a picture with this. It's a plaque and says, "In recognition and appreciation, Nancy Wright, a special thank you for your decades of visionary guidance, exceptional leadership, and unconditional commitment while serving as a member of the Mission Springs Water District Board of Directors, 1988 to 2022. Mission Springs Water District." So Nancy, why don't you come up right here in front of the dais, and I will present this to you.
I'll stand with Pete. Pete does it.
Well, thank you all. Thank you very much. It was very nice send off for me. 34 years. Yeah, it's a long time when I think back about it. You know, I was like 38 years old, you know, pretty young. And I remember the first time I came to a board meeting here. This was our board.
Yeah.
Remember that? And anyway, so I'll never forget it. A bunch of men. And me. Anyway, so a lot of good things have happened throughout the years. I'm very honored to represent this community and this water district. You guys said what this is one of the best water districts in the whole state. And I know when we go to these conferences early on, and you know, when you're first learning and you go and you listen, and Ivan brought it, everybody who's gone has said the same thing. They come back, you know, they're telling us what we need to do and how we need to take care of things and the policies and all that stuff. And we're already doing that. You know, I hear that more and more. So just keep it up, you guys. You know, I'll always be here if you need anything. I will be watching and making sure that our water is protected and taken care of. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think we need to sing you out, Nancy. So would it be all right?
Go ahead, Pamela.
Come on, Charlie. Everybody join in for She's a Jolly Good Fellow. For she's a jolly good fellow. For she's a jolly good fellow.
Wish Thank you, Pam.
Yay, Nancy.
Go ahead, Pamela.
Oh, she already did it. We sang She's a Jolly Good Fellow.
Yes, Merry Christmas to Nancy, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thank you, Pamela.
Okay. Moving on to public input for other issues. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on other issues other than what we've just experienced here?
President Martin, there is no other public comment.
Okay. You know, Robert was mentioning during the presentation that he, I believe it was you that talked about getting a free pen, and
Lots of good ones.
lots of good ones. You know, when I retired from law enforcement, I lamented at my retirement party that, gosh, my days of getting free pens are over. And then I attended an aqua conference, and I said, put that myth to rest. Never had so many pens in my life. Moving on to item 7, Human Resources Report.
All right, thank you. We're catching up today with some of this. And we're actually going to have to catch up with Danny next time because unfortunately his father passed. So this is the time that we recognize the MSWD employees and their dedication. Now, while we do not have any new hires to share for November, we have 3 anniversaries to celebrate today. Together, they represent 40 years of service to the district and the communities we serve. You may recognize some of these names from our November board meeting. For different reasons, each were pushed to December. However, they are still important milestones that we want to acknowledge and take the time. We'll start out with Mr. Brian Macy. I've actually, I'm honored to really have him as my assistant general manager. The board was on my case for quite some time about getting an assistant general manager because it was quite obvious that we were just getting stretched too thin. And of course, my proclivity not to spend money kind of caught up with me. But it was the best thing that I ever did. it may be only 3 years on paper, but like, it feels like Brian has been a part of our district for much, much longer. And he, you know, Brian has really had over a decade of experience in Coachella Valley. And if you know, when you serve on here, like all of us know, this isn't about just us. We have to constantly know what's happening on the local level, on the county level, on the state level, and on the federal level. He's been instrumental in the development of our regional plant and the new admin building campus and countless other projects. It was nice to have him in engineering, so I wasn't constantly bombarded with those, because those questions got to be more and more as time went on. His strong management qualities was very convenient for me, because I could rely on him to get me some things done, and he's an indispensable member of our team. He has what I like about him is he has the skills, but he also has the energy, and he's very dedicated to this district, and it's been a pleasure having you on. So thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, General Manager. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Next, also another very, very impressive employee. Next is Amanda Lucas. She's our administrative assistant. She's been with the district for 6 years. I'm always impressed whenever I work with Amanda. She's meticulous in her work. She's very organized. She supports our operations department, makes sure we are running at top efficiency, and she's just a joy to talk to. Amanda lends her skills to multiple committees, highly educated, and she's on the teams, including our 70th anniversary planning committee. And I'm going to let Brian go from there.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yes, Amanda is a valuable part of our operations and even helping out engineering. All of our contracts that come through operations, she takes care of. And in addition to just getting the contracts, then making sure that all of the information is correct, prevailing wage, making sure that any contract that expires is updated appropriately, making sure that we go out for a request of qualifications when necessary, and making sure that all of our procurement policies are followed. So without her, operations does literally fall apart because we're not fixing pipes or ordering the correct stuff. So she does a great job for us, and very lucky to have her.
Thank you. Amanda, thank you so much. And you are a definite asset to this district. Is Amanda listening?
I believe she is.
She is.
Yes,
Did you
I'm
have
here.
do you have anything you want to say?
I just want to say thank you for your kind words. And I also want to thank MSWD for hiring me, taking a chance on me 6 years ago, giving me the opportunity. Over 6 years ago, I started my journey here, and I'm forever grateful for being given this opportunity. So again, thank you.
We have a lot of plans for Amanda. She's definitely going to have a good future here. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
And next is a person that is truly an essential element to our operations, our field operations superintendent, Jeff Nutter. He's been with the district for more than 28 years, more than Danny. To say Jeff has been through hell and high water is an understatement. In his 28 years, I believe Jeff has seen almost every situation, including fire hydrants sheared off by vehicles, contractors digging into our lines, leaks in the middle of the night that seem impossible to stem. And he's always there. Through all of this, Jeff has stayed the course, leading the team through emergencies while keeping routine maintenance and construction duties in check. He's literally the guy who knows where the valves are buried. And that's very important in this profession. We have been through much together. In fact, there were several years there where we had literally around 600 to 650 leaks. That's like LA. And we had to do something about it. And Jeff and I and everybody got together from engineering, and I didn't have the the help that I have right now. And we put together about 3 projects that replace these service lines. And before you know it, we were down to a manageable leak level. I just can't say enough. Jeff and I have been through so many things, and some of them in the middle of the night. So with that, I'm going to let Brian also expand on that.
Well, there's not too much to expand on, General Manager Woolen, but I will say this: Jeff is Mr. Dependable is the best way to put it. Anytime there is a leak or an issue, Jeff typically gets involved in one facet of another, regardless of what his position is as a superintendent. He's always there to take the calls. He always shares his experience and district experience with staff, which is invaluable. With 28 years behind him, he's got more than almost everybody in the department or in the district. Very valuable. Case in point, is there a video that we want to show just to show how engaged Jeff is? This video happened, I believe it was last year. Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong, but case in point, there he is. He could have put somebody else out in the street and did this, but no, he wanted to do it himself and help out. I think the guy's there to help Jeff, but I don't think Jeff, there it is.
It's always a team effort, Brian. They do a great job.
But that's exactly the kind of person Jeff is. When there is a situation, he will get out there with the staff, help them, teach them, mentor them. It's a terrific having somebody like Jeff on board.
I don't think people understand how knowledgeable you need to be of the system when you have something like that and know exactly what to do to trigger it, because by shutting things down, you can also cause more problems. It's an air traffic control issue, and Jeff, really, his knowledge and his contribution to this district is so great, and I can't thank him enough. Jeff, did you have something you would like to say? At least say hi.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for the kind words, Arden. It's been 28 years, and over half of them, you've been around for 18 years of those 28. So I do appreciate all the opportunities. Brian, you've made me look in different directions, thinking outside the box a little differently. Last couple of years. So I do appreciate all the ongoing information, all the continued education I get. Even though you've been here 28 years, I seem like I still continue to learn and, figure new ways, to do things. So I hope I can continue giving the service that's required by me to MSWD.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
And that concludes today's presentation.
Okay, thank you, Arden. Anybody, any comments from the board on the honorees? No? Okay. Moving on to item 8, resolution 2022-30. This is a resolution that has been routine as of late, and I'm not going to read the entire thing here. Is there anything you want to add, Arden, to the resolution?
No, other than like we went into last week, and I think Mr. Pinckney went through the background on that. It's going to change in January. So we'll have to decide how we want to handle that and move forward.
Okay.
But for right now, we can
All right.
move forward with this resolution.
Any questions from the board, Ivan?
No.
Good. Robert, Amber, okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2022-30, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Mission Springs Water District proclaiming a local emergency persists, re-ratifying the proclamation of a state of emergency by executive order NZ-09-21, and reauthorizing remote teleconference meeting of the legislative bodies of the Mission Springs Water District for the period December 23rd, 2022 through January 22, 2023, pursuant to the provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ivan has a second. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Marhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff, Director Griffith,
Aye.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Moving on to item 9, resolution 2022-31. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Mission Springs Water District recommending approval of a notice of exemption determination under the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines for the supplemental environmental project. Arden?
Nothing really new to add. I mean, of course, we'll answer questions, but the focus today is the notice of exemption, which is, the issues around that are really what you're voting on today. And I think Brian did a good job of showing you where all the area that we're talking about has been disturbed. So, and it is, and the other thing of it is this whole program is voluntary. I mean, the people can take advantage of it or they don't have to. So we're not forcing anything on anybody. With anything other than that, that's nothing new.
Brian, do you have anything to
I
add?
have nothing to add.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Ivan? Ted?
I did have some questions and I met with Brian, and where my confusion came in. Brian, do you have something you could put up on the screen with the map that we discussed there? My confusion was the old days of where the water district would just show up and say you're hooking up to the sewer and you're going to have to pay for it and no advance notice. And so on the map here, after Brian showed me this map, it was more clear. So since I was confused, I'm sure that there's other folks that are out there confused. So Brian, would you please just repeat what you told me, please?
So yes, the map that you have on our screen right now shows the proximity. There we go. Excuse me. The proximity from the 3 wells that are closest to the septic systems or the groundwater pollution. The wells 22, 24, and wells 29. The circles represent, I believe, a half a mile to a mile outside of the zone of influence of these wells. So you start with the priority, starting from the wells closest to 29, which then works outward. And then once we get to a certain point, then you can see where these properties then would be next in line. As Director Meyerhoff and I talked about, we have in our documents right now up to 21 parcels, but that was done when we were looking at costs back in July. Now it being January, when we'll possibly, or February, when we bid this project, we hope that the cost will maybe be as much as half of what we expected. If that's the case, then we'll be looking at doing 40 properties. So we are prepared right now to write letters to the first 21 properties and get that process started. And then obviously the first part of this is getting the notice of exemption from the CEQA because we are in disturbed areas. Does that cover a lot of the things we talked about?
Yes, sir. But all the residents surrounding these purple areas are already hooked up to sewer, correct?
Correct. These areas are areas where we have installed sewer. There are some pockets that are still left in part of our 81, or excuse me, assessment district areas that have not been set up. But yes, the ones where you see the purple or the blue, everything around that area, and why around, I'm trying to guess, something like that, those areas have been sewered.
And this won't be any cost to them if they hook up now. If they decide not to, they'll have to pay for it
Later.
But they will have a sewer charge of $50 a month after they're hooked up.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Anything further?
No, sir.
That's good questions. Robert? No. Amber?
Just one.
Sure, go ahead.
Just a quick clarification. Maybe on.
Is your microphone on?
Sorry. Just a quick question, Mr. Macy. You, I don't know if it was a misspeak or not. We currently have 68 developed parcels that we're going to be looking at doing that, not 40 and not 21, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, there's
Confirming it was
68 properties that are within 200 feet of sewer. Yes.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
all right.
Thank you.
Sure. With that in mind, I will entertain a motion on resolution number 2022-31.
I'll move the item.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Sewell and a second by Director Meyerhoffen. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
and President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Item 10, Resolution 2022-32, amending Resolution number 2022-17, revisions to the Mission Springs Water District Personnel Rules and Regulations. General Manager Wall?
I don't have anything. We did make the changes and we got them out. And I don't know if, I think there may have been some questions over the weekend. Hopefully Oriana answered them. But we're open for questions. Did you have anything additional you wanted to say, Oriana?
No, I don't have anything else. As General Manager Wallum noted, the changes have been incorporated into the packet. If there's no further changes, then I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Is there any questions from the board? Ivan? Okay.
Point of
Sure.
Point of clarification. So Ariane, the items that you spoke at the end last week that were inadvertently kind of left off but have been included in the packet now, they are the highlighted ones, is that correct?
Correct. The leave usage was there, but it was not in red. So that was added. And then yes, 4 from Rule 27-4, that was new, last minute addition. So yes, the highlighted in yellow.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Amber? Okay. With that in mind, I'll entertain a motion on the resolution to approve the resolution 2022-32, amending resolution 2022-17, revisions to Mission Springs Water District Personnel Rules and Regulations. Do I hear a motion?
I will move.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Griffith. Do I have a second? And we have a second by Director Amber Duff. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Item 11, annual report of capacity fees and related capital expenditures. It's recommended that the Board of Directors accept the annual report of capacity fees and related expenditures as submitted. Pardon?
The only thing I might call your attention to is that after the meeting last week, we did get a letter from Gretchen from DVBA stating that they think that our numbers are appropriate. They always review these numbers and respond. So, and I didn't know, Arturo, did you have anything more you wanted to add to that?
Nothing other than that. Thank you.
And we did include that letter in your packet, so.
Yes, I do. I saw it on there. Any questions or comments from the board? Ivan? Ed? Amber? Nothing from me. This meeting is going by entirely too fast. I'm shocked. Okay. Moving on to
Had
item
good questions.
I'm sorry, what?
We've had good questions.
Yeah. Moving on to item 12, election of Mission Springs Water District Board of Directors. I want to draw your attention to the process, which originates from Robert's Rules of Orders. And if I can quote, nominations and elections before proceeding to an election to fill an office is customary to nominate one or more candidates when the vote is via voice or by rising. The nomination is like a motion to fill a blank, the different names being repeated by the chair as they are made, and that the vote is taken on each in the order in which they were nominated until one is elected. The nomination need not be seconded. The chair asked if there are any other nominations when they are made from the floor. An election takes place effective immediately if the candidate is present and does not decline, or if he is absent and has consented to his candidacy. If he or she is absent and has not been consented, to his candidacy. It takes effects when he is notified of his election, provided he does not decline immediately. That certainly kind of overcomplicates a rather simple process. So I'm going to turn the proceedings over to our district secretary to conduct the election for board president.
Thank you, President Martin. I will now take nominations for board president for the term ending December 2023. Do I have any nominations?
Yes. Since I think there's three of us that are relatively new, for the purposes of continuity, I would like to nominate Russ Martin as president for the next year.
President Martin, do you accept this nomination?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for president for the term ending 2023? Seeing none, I will close the nomination period and call for those in favor of Russ Martin for president, term ending December 2023. Director Duff?
Aye.
Director Griffith?
Aye.
Director Meyerhoffen?
Yes.
Director Sewell?
Yes.
And President Martin?
Yes. And thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to the vice president position.
Vice President for the term ending December 2023. Do I have any nominations?
Yes. I would like to, in this same category, I would like to nominate Director Sewell for vice president for the next year.
Director Sewell, do you accept this nomination?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for vice president, term ending December of 2023? Seeing none, I will close the nomination period and call for those in favor. Director Duff?
Aye.
Director Griffith?
Aye.
President Martin?
Yes.
Director Meyerhoffen?
Yes.
And Director Sewell?
Yes.
Congratulations, Director Sewell. You are now vice president of the board, term ending December 2023.
Congratulations, sir. Moving on to discussion items. Item 13, Mission Springs Water District Regional Water Reclamation Facility update. Is there anything you wish to address on that?
I did not see Steve, but I don't think we have anything new since last Thursday.
Okay. Moving on to item 14, Critical Services Center and Administrative Building update. Anything new on that project?
No, there is not.
Okay. Moving on to item 15, Energy Conservation and Efficiency Services Plan, NG Services US. Pardon?
I think I'm gonna yield the floor to Brian here to kind of see if there's anything additional that you might want to mention, but no, nothing new from what you've heard.
Okay.
Other than we will be very careful moving forward with this and that nothing commits the district to anything until we know what we need to do. Right now, we don't even know what we need to do. First of all, we need to figure out what can be done, but go on. I'm sorry.
Thank you, General Manager, President Martin, members of the board. Congratulations, Vice President Sewell. Yes, this particular item is right now is a feasibility process where they want to go and look at different things and see where we can save energy resources and things like that. So yes, the first couple of phases of this, NG has decided to take on at their own risk to be able to present us with what they are going to suggest we move forward with construction. So the item that we had as a discussion item is exactly where it is right now. We will be bringing back to you a contract when we go to construction that will lay out all of the costs, whether it be NG services, whether it be contractors, whether it be specifics in the project. I believe solar is going to be a major component of that, but there's going to be other items as it relates to the operation of the Horton wastewater treatment plant. So it's going to be very comprehensive, and I would expect to see that probably in the next 6 to 9 months, depending on how quickly they can move forward with some of those items.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, Robert.
So I meant I hadn't gone through the whole packet as of last Thursday, so it's just something, I'm sure they are aware of this, but I know this is something that we do have to plan for. SB 371 which is the fleet electrification project, which kicks in 2024. So I'm going to assume, and if not, I think we need to make sure that that is taken into consideration in terms of any energy usage, since we will, starting in 2024, any new purchases start to have fleets that are all electric. And we will need charging for that. And so that will come into play. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I didn't on Thursday.
Absolutely. When we're looking at net metering, it's going to be taking those things into account. It's going to be very difficult since we do not have an electrical fleet now, but they can make estimates on what that's going to be. Same thing with the regional plan. It's not even constructed yet, and they're going to have to put that into the process as we go through the net metering with the SCE back in April. So yes, they're going to have to make some estimates and go through those calculations, but we will be taking both of those things into account. Thank you.
Amber?
Just a quick question. When he was giving his presentation, the gentleman from NG last Thursday, he highlighted several fairly local companies that worked with him. Have you or anyone from MSWD had in-depth conversations with the experience these folks had in working with NG? Was it positive? Have you not done so yet?
Not specifically to some of the ones he mentioned in his presentation, but when we were talking with others that have used them, they were positive from that perspective. So we don't expect to receive anything negative moving forward. But when we go through the bidding process and we know the contractors that are going to be reaching out to, that's when we'll really start following up to making sure that they have the right contractors. I know there's some local solar firms, for Renova, for example. I'm sure they're going to be part of the process, and that's the kind of relationships we want to see when they start bringing those details to us, and we will follow up at that time.
We're gonna get, if we don't understand some of the issues, we're gonna get help to know it. And I don't know how to say this nicely, but I've never brought a design build like this to the board. I'm going to be very hard on this project. And they know that, and, but if there is grants involved and if we can save money with our energy, then let's at least see what options are available there.
I absolutely agree in seeing what options are there for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for paying attention to that.
Yeah. Ivan, did you have any questions? Ted?
Yes, I have a question. Once this, is there a project manager? I was come out and say, a project manager that, certified and has a bond to be qualified to watch all this happen?
Yeah. Well, we're going to make sure he's
going to be our project
follows
manager?
through all that. No, but he's just going to make sure that we do have all the right bonding in place.
Matter of fact, the draft contract that they have given us in their proposal with this action or with this discussion moving forward, we'll start working with JP's office to make sure that they feel comfortable with the contract, make sure that the bonding requirements are met and all the other insurance items that are there. So yes, we are going to at this point start working through that process, even though the contract will not be signed until it's further along. And we're talking about, like I said, 6 to 9 months. We are going to start working with legal to make sure that when that time comes, that we do have a contract that we can live with.
And it's going to be a competitive process, I promise.
My concern is once the construction starts, project manager being there, making sure that everything is done accordingly, other than having, say, the building inspector making sure, just in case there is some kind of small change, that we know it's not going to be a small change, it's going to affect something later on down the road. So this is my concern with having a project manager overseeing everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. Make sure that's kind of what I was referring to when I said, if we have any questions, I mean, we're not experts on everything. And if we need help, I will get us help.
Okay, any other questions? Okay.
Thank you for the comments.
Moving on to the consent agenda, there are 3 items on the consent agenda. First, approval of minutes for November 17th, 2022, the study session, and the board meeting on November 21st, 22. Are there any corrections, additions, or comments on the minutes?
President Martin, there is a correction in the director's comments in the minutes of the November 21st meeting.
Okay,
Your packet reflects State Water Resource Board, Colorado River Basin Region, and it should read the Regional Quality Control Board, Colorado River Basin Region. So that
Okay.
correction has been made.
okay, thank you. Item 17, register of demands, a register of demands totaling $857,374.50. Are any questions or comments on the register of demands? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 18, the 2023 Board of Directors meeting schedule. Any questions or comments concerning the meeting schedule? Seeing that there are none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the change made to the minutes of November 21st, as so mentioned by our secretary.
Good question. I know we consents all in one, but since we have two new members here that weren't here for the previous meeting, should we do the minutes separately?
Well,
How about legal?
I'm sorry, what? Yeah,
What do you think?
You can approve the minutes. Even if you weren't here, you can approve the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, that was a tie.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ivan and a second by Robert. Roll call vote, please.
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Griffith,
Aye.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
and President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Directors' reports. Item 19. Ivan, you want to kick it off?
I just have a couple. November 2nd, Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce mixer at Azure Palm Hot Springs here in Desert Hot Springs. It was a really nice event, had a good turnout. Nothing really significant to report, but I will commend the city council and city staff. I don't know the name of their program exactly, but Azure Palms was the first hotel to be waived some of their TOT taxes to invest back into their property. And what Maria Lease has done to that property is pretty amazing. If you remember it, maybe 5 years ago, it was pretty dilapidated. And every time I drive by, it's a full parking lot. So I hope there's more hotels in the city that can take advantage of that, because it's really a benefit for our community. And then I have November 29th through the 1st of December, Aqua Fall Conference. It seems like Aqua conferences are really getting back to what they were prior to the pandemic. I thought it was a really good conference. The keynotes were interesting and had a wide variety of sessions to attend. A few that stuck out to me were the communications committee. Much of what they did was kind of show examples from other districts across the state. And I think we're really on the right track with our video series that we've been doing. And they gave me some ideas that I've shared with Marion. And again, I think we're really doing much better on our communications outreach to our customers. And the other session that I attended that really stuck out was the financial strategies program. One thing that they talked about there was through Aqua, there's an award that's a transparency award. And I'd like to see us apply for that. I know there's quite a few awards, both through CSDA and Aqua, that I think we can apply for. And I think many of the things we're already doing, we just have to apply for these. And I think they'd be good for our community to see that we are, doing what we're saying we're doing. And then another good amount of the talk through the financial program was just different strategies and ideas as different districts are reaching these water goals put down by the state. We're all seeing a drop in revenue and how that's going to continue going forward, and just something I think we want to keep our eye on and not fall behind. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ted, do you have anything you want to report on?
Well, I just like to say thank you to the staff for everything that you're teaching me, really. And I appreciate that. And Brian, I appreciate the information you sent me. Some of it was a little bit mind-boggling, but I'll get it figured out. And for the folks that are in my district, District 5, with there's some concern there with the sewer treatment plant coming, but so far you have nothing to worry about. Everything is being taken care of, and we're more than likely, hopefully everybody will be getting a grant to get hooked up. Can't promise anything. And I know as soon as the area 2, I believe it was referred to, would you like to comment on that?
No, just it's M2. Yes, the area M2.
Area 2. When that money's in the bank, you can maybe give us a report on that and what those folks will be expecting approximately a year from now, so everybody can be planning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just in the future, just as a minor thing, and I'm not being critical, but on there is this is the point in time in the meeting where we're reporting on meetings that we've attended, and then but later on there is a section 22 is the director's comments, and that's when that.
Okay,
but it's a minor thing.
Every board I've ever been on, it's always run different, so I'll catch on to what you're up to.
right.
Thank
No,
you for
that's
letting me
okay.
know. Okay.
It's okay.
We get 2 chances here, Ted.
Yeah.
Your 2 chances, all right.
Robert?
So holidays, elections, all that kind of lighten my load a little bit because I had some meetings and then on some I didn't. I did do the CBWD this month, which did the swearing in of the people who won the election. And then mostly they had a lot of projects that they're going to be spending a lot of money on, especially for replacement equipment all over. As one of the older agencies down on the east side, they have a lot of old equipment and old pipelines that they are in the process of having to replace. So kind of a staggering amount of money that was doled out in their last meeting, so to speak. Mostly was the big thing for me was the Aqua Conference, like it was for everybody else. It's kind of astounding how much information that they pack into that. And I've been to conferences in the past for all different business sectors, and this is probably the only one that was just packed all day to the point where at the end of the day I was exhausted. Lots of really good stuff. One of the ones that stuck out to me was it was a round table regarding the effect of ADUs due to the new state law on water supply and water capacity, and what can you do about that? What can you not do? And what are the challenges? And the general consensus, and there was people from all over the state, was that no one's really kind of looked at what they're going to do, and no one's had a major impact because that program's really starting to ramp up. So I did a lot of research. So I'll probably talk to you about this. And I did talk to Brian about this at the conference on things, just in terms of preparing ourselves for this. I don't know that we're going to have a massive influx of ADUs, but I do know that on the corner of Desert View and Mesquite, there is a house that is actually putting in an ADU. They're both brand new. One of the things I found out is that you can't consider an ADU as new residential use for calculating connecting fees or capacity changes unless it's constructed as new with the residence itself. So anyone that adds onto that, you can't use those calculations, but you can if it's brand new construction. So some other topics that were of great interest was the water supply and how we're going to face that in the future. I know that they were meeting this week over the 7 states, I believe, to try and hammer out a new agreement. And so that's a challenge that I think we're going to face that's going to impact us greatly. But fantastic conference. Was really happy that I went, and as I came away with my brain full and totally exhausted.
Okay. Did it?
That's it.
Amber?
I wasn't on the board yet,
Okay.
so I was biting my nails, waiting for the election count to be finished. But I look forward to next year's Aqua Conference from what I've heard, and I enjoyed very much meeting with the MSWD staff and the tour that I was provided last week.
There's a couple of conferences that are worth attending. One is the Urban Water Institute, which is coming up shortly. That's going to be held here in Palm Springs. And also the
CSDA.
I'm sorry, what?
CSDA.
Yeah, California Special District Association. That is really a premier event. It deals a lot with water and issues on there, but in a broader scope, talking about management skills and how to, I learned one of the things that how to evaluate a general manager. I'm sure he really appreciated that. That was a whole class on that. And so it's worthwhile. So anything further you want to mention? Okay, super. Yeah, my report on the 1st of November City Council meeting, they amended the housing element and that was passed. They also awarded a professional services agreement for the police department recruiting services agreement. Presently, they have 33 police officer positions on the police department and all positions are filled currently. They also went over year-end budget adjustments. On the 3rd, Desert Valley Builders Association legislative meeting. It's a well-attended event, nothing special to report there. On the 8th, Riverside County Board of Supervisors. This was kind of interesting because it's kind of a replication of very early on, but they reported that 600 cases, criminal cases, including 40 felonies, were dismissed due to COVID and the shortage of judges. And that after dealing with these lawsuits that we've had and seeing how long it takes judges to resolve certain legal issues and legislation and things of that nature, it's not surprising that happened. It's unfortunate though. On the 15th City Council meeting, necessity of certain development impact fees were passed. Ordinance of the tenant relocation assistance, the first reading of that ordinance. On the 29th, the Aqua Fall Conference. There were pluses and cons. Minor on cons, there was no printed agenda provided when you checked in. And I go to these conferences, they have breakout sessions and there's usually a panel. And you have some really brilliant people that are participating in that, very highly qualified, who don't know how to use a microphone, and you have a hard time hearing them. And you know, you would think that they would do a sound check first and things like that, but they don't. But that's a minor. It's one of my nits that I'm bringing forward on there. So I had to take pursuant to mandated by the legislator, sexual harassment class and ethics class. And that was very, very good. On November 10th, Coachella Valley Conservation Commission and the Energy and Environmental Resources Committee. I represented Supervisor Jeff Hewitt. Of note was acquisition of 5 parcels or 140 acres of land taken over by the Conservation Commission. And November 17th, the State of the City. Kudos to Mayor Mattis, City Council and staff for the improvements and achievements of Desert Hot Springs during the last year. It's truly impressive. On going back to November 2nd, I attended the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce Networking Night at Azure Palms Resort as well as Ivan. I don't have too much to add to that, except that if you haven't been there to see this resort, it's well worth the trip to go there and take a look around, because it's truly an amazing property. Mary Elise has really done a fantastic job of making one of the premier resort areas in the Coachella Valley. That's really, really impressive. And then, of course, November 11th, Veterans Day, and that's always a very special day at Veterans Park, and really enjoyed that. And that concludes my report. Moving on to general manager's report. Arden?
Yeah, well, we're gonna have, Arturo's gonna give you his, financial
Okay.
report today, but before he does, I want to say, my compliments to this board and to the new directors. It's been a lot. You've asked good questions and it's going quite well. Thank you. And thanks for being interested. Okay, Arturo.
Thank you, General Manager Wallum, President Martin, and Vice President Sewell, distinguished members of the board. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the district's finances through November 30th of 2022. Just as an update, we are in the middle of the audit for June 30, 2022. And usually we wait to present information until after the audit is done, because if there's any adjustments, we have to make them as of June 30th and carry them forward. And as we are going through that right now, some of these numbers might change. I don't expect many changes, just a few for sure that I know of. But this gives you a clear picture of the revenues and expenses for the district. What I'm expecting is going to change are some of the balance sheet items, cash changes with the unrealized gains and losses, a couple of things like that. But just a quick overview, you can see that operating revenue as of November is $9.4 million compared to 9.1 last year. The main reason for that is new connections to the system, whether it's water and sewer. We've had close to 500 to 600 connections over the last year. That's pretty significant when you're talking about customers in the lobby, requesting to get connected to the system, and also new construction in the district. Expenses are lower than last year and lower than budget, primarily timing. We're still waiting for some invoices to come through. The other is the managers have been holding off on some expenses with the uncertainty of where we're heading with some of the major items that we're dealing with, like the regional plant, also the new building that we're talking about earlier. Also, non-operating revenue is lower than last year, and this is again timing of some of the items coming in. Some connections happened earlier last year, some of them are happening later this year. And also the operating expenses, 250,000 in the current year, 238,000 last year. And if you're looking at the actual July through November, the district has a gain of $6.4 million that translates into basically the revenue that's coming in net to the district as of right now. What does that mean in terms of cash? Cash has actually gone down since July 1st. We started with 47.7 million, down 7 million because of all the major construction items that we're going through from the regional plant, and I'll get into detail a little bit after. But also some of the wells that need repairs, some of the tanks that also need to be reviewed, and things like that. Unrestricted cash, as you can see, is $10 million. Restricted cash is $30 million. And when we're talking about the regional plan, you're looking at all this cash that we're sitting on, and you might be asking yourself, why would the district or the staff be requesting a line of credit, which is what we're coming to bringing to you in the next month. In the restricted, again, cash, we have $30 million. Of that $30 million, that is invested in the short-term, medium-term funds with CalTrust. And let me show you the statement for November 30th. This is the main reason why we do not want to pull any of these funds for this cumulative change in value. Those are unrealized losses. Once we go and cash any of these funds and bring them into our Wells Fargo account, we now have to report this differently. And this is close to $1 million that we would have to report as realized losses, as opposed to leaving it there, let the market come back and pretty much settled to zero. You'll see in November, this one.
Could you hold on just a second, Arturo?
Sure.
Is there a way we can eliminate the information on the side because it's covering part of the presentation and I can't read it?
What information are you looking at?
If Arturo, we have the Zoom, the view where we can see you and a
sorry.
few others. Are you able to just
There we go. Thank you. All right.
fix it on
Sorry
our-
for that.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that shows you this close to $1 million again, that is unrealized losses that we would have to report if we cash out those funds and use that money. And so in November, we had a gain of 130,000, but again, it's still pretty significant. We did a cost benefit analysis where the cost to get that line of credit was actually cheaper than cashing out some of these bonds or investments with CalTrust. And so you'll see that information in detail once we bring it back to you. But in terms of the district finances, that is where we're sitting at. I'm also going to show you a spreadsheet of, are you able to see this spreadsheet?
Yeah.
So this is a spreadsheet of showing what we calculated in terms of cash flows for the district when we started the regional plant back in March of 2022. We estimated the costs each month and why we needed a cash flow benefit to the district with that line of credit. Looking at the numbers here, if we don't do anything, we're going to run out of cash and continue with the same projects in February of 2023. You can see we're sitting at the cash balance of $3.5 million. And when I look back at some of these numbers in terms of the net revenues that are coming into the district, property taxes, what cash we have sitting available to us, and what we're going to be, what we have been spending, we're pretty much spot on. And again, this is where the board will determine whether if we do not get that line of credit approved, to hold on some of these projects until we start getting reimbursement from the state. The state always provides reimbursable grants. What does that mean? We have to spend the money first before they turn around and reimburse us for those monies. They will check every item on the box. They will dot every T, cross every T, dot every I. And if we have anything wrong, they'll come back and make sure that it is corrected before they issue any payment. We are waiting right now to hear back from the state that we can start submitting the first grant reimbursement. And so far, we have spent through September $9 million, $9.7 million of that cash that I showed earlier, as to why the cash has decreased as of July 1st through November. If we start adding some of those line of credit amounts that we're talking about, you can see that it's pretty much needed in order to continue with some of these projects up until that puts us through June of 2023, where we will be taking another look at where we're standing and hopefully have received some of these funds from the state faster to keep us going without having any issues in cash. And again, we're going to be looking again at the market to ensure that those unrealized losses are a lot less so that we can start pulling those funds in order to carry us through the end of the year until we collect the entire amount from the state. That agreement has been approved. And again, unfortunately, we have to spend the money first before the state starts to reimburse us. And we'll be bringing that information to you in the January meeting, along with a thorough review of our mid-year budget with changes to the budget as presented in June, because in June, we did not have that agreement finalized, and therefore some unknowns at that time that are now for sure that we can now present updated information. And at this time, I will gladly answer any questions you may have about this information until we present more to you in January.
Okay. Amber, do you have any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick question, and I do look forward to your detailed information in the near future. You made a comment that we've spent 9.7 million so far. Has all of that been on what you're calling reimbursable costs that we are expecting the grant to cover, or are there some expenses in there that the grant may not cover?
It is, and it's made out of the regional water reclamation facility construction and management cost. So it's an addition. If you add all these numbers that we've put in here through September, that's what that $9.7 million is for.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything further?
No.
Robert?
No, I just saw investment return year to date, 0.02%. I think that's pretty good, given that all mine have kind of crashed quite drastically over the past year.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and as you know, we are required by state law to only invest in certain funds that guarantee pretty much a return as opposed to have a loss, which is why we show those, pretty much from year to year, the same investment return at this time.
Ivan?
And yeah, mine is more of just a clarification that grant is confirmed through the state and it's guaranteed. And this is more of just a timing issue rather than them not funding it.
Correct. The signed agreement was provided in August, where both the district and the state signed. It's basically, it outlines all the requirements to be able to collect those funds. And it also specifies the information that would disqualify us from getting those funds, whether it's fraud, whether it's costs that are not allowed. All of that is in the grant for sure. And at this point, the only issue is we're waiting for the state to tell us when we can submit that first agreement to request those funds. Obviously, the state is also having some issues with staff and budgets and things like that they're going through. So we have not been told or given the green light to go ahead and submit that first reimbursement.
The wheels.
Thank you.
pretty
Thank you.
slow on their end too, is what I'm saying.
That's it. Ted?
Well, for me, it kind of looks scary to run a business like this. But, Arturo, I'm going to be in your office between now and the next meeting, asking you some more questions and more explanations. And it looks like we just taken on too many projects to move forward with another one, and I'll get to that later. Thank you.
We'll be glad to answer any questions you have and show you, kind of run it out for you.
Anything further from you, Jen?
No,
Okay.
no, just other than, yeah, right, man, this is a big project, but we've been working. I mean, I started this close to 15 years ago and putting everything in place. And part of what's happened is that we became more aware of additional funding, and that set the project out even more. So now, the trade-off was we're going to get this thing funded, but our timing is a little off. And so that's how it sort of worked out. But at the end of the day, we've been anticipating this, and in the future, it's going to mean so much more to us. It's going to save us money.
If I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
that's been my kind of concern is that, like, as you said, the timing. Who's going to be carrying this if something goes wrong? And so I appreciate you recognizing that problem.
All good points.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
And I don't know if either Arturo or you, Arden, could speak on it, but a year ago, we weren't even sure if we were going to get a complete funding, and we felt the district was in a strong enough position. Should we have to finance part of it? I mean,
look at our.
I feel very comfortable in where we're at, even though it looks.
First of all, we had planned to finance this. Our debt service ratio is, what is it now, Arturo?
10.88
and 10.8, almost 11. I mean, many of the districts are down around 1.5 to 2. and that's what they run on. We literally do not have much debt on our rates, and this is something we need to make you feel comfortable. And not only that, but we have what we call idle capacity. In other words, we've required some of this development to build capacity in certain parts of the system. So when we get ready to expand and for the future growth, part of that expenditure is already there, or is already in place. Let's put it that way. So that'll save us some money. You know, it is complicated. But like I said, we've been working these numbers for over a decade.
And to answer Vice President Sewell's comment, last year we were guaranteed a half loan, half grant agreement, which is why the state, once the grant was reworded and redone, they allowed us to go back to December of 2021 for eligible work that started back then, because they knew we couldn't wait on them to start the project. It's something that we need for our community, and they recognize that.
Good point, Arturo. Yeah.
Yes, sure, Amber, go ahead.
Just so that we have a little time to digest, do you happen to have the interest rate figure available to us for that potential line of credit, just so we can have that in our mind?
Yes, and for your information, we did go out and request 4 bids. So we did get 4 different banks. The majority of them provided by the CSDA, which is the financing corporation, which works with water agencies throughout California, that provided those guidance to us so that we could go out and get the 4 quotes, and we ended up picking the best, obviously, for the least cost for the district. In addition, we have a bond council that has to review any new debt that we're going into, that gives us advice as to the validity of that, some of those interest rates, and basically negotiate for us to ensure we're not overpaying when it comes down to that interest. So I do have that agreement. That I was planning on presenting it with the request at the board meeting, but I can send it ahead of time for sure.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Anything else? Okay. Anything further, Arden?
Nothing further. Good questions.
Okay. Moving on to the second part of the general manager report, public affairs update.
We had that on Thursday, and I don't
Anything
know that, Marion, did you have anything to add?
No, General Manager Wallem, I have nothing new today. Thank you.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
District council comments.
Yes, just briefly, some of the things that we've been working on for the district include representing the district in connection with the settlement of the Regional Water Quality Control Board enforcement action, for which you approved the SEP notice of exemption today. Another item was assisting the district staff in updating the employee handbook, which was on the agenda as item number 10 today. And then also in the recent past, representing the district in defending the Padilla class action that was filed and negotiating the settlement of that matter. And then lastly, we're counsel for the district on the appeal in Mission Springs Water District versus DWA. And the opening brief in that case is due at the end of January. So we'll keep you posted.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay. Moving on to director's comments. Ivan?
I would like to just thank all the staff that helped put the presentation today together for Nancy. I thought that was very nice, and I just appreciate that we did that. So thank you, and wish all of our staff and fellow board members and our customers a happy holidays and happy new year.
Okay. Good.
I'm glad we get 2 chances.
Yeah, there you go.
I think in the future, just so everybody knows where direction I'm heading, this new service center, and I realize that we only have 2 board members that actually voted on that in the beginning. We'll see where the finances go. I would like to see it finish, letting the architect do what he's doing, and then hold off on that till we see what's going on with the rest of the financial situation. Thank you.
Amber?
Thank you, President. I'm honored and humbled to have received the confidence and trust of so many in our community, and I promise to work hard for all of the MSWD's ratepayers and our community as a whole, and be a responsible steward to our city's most valuable asset, our water. Last Thursday, it was a pleasure to have finally met my fellow board members, and I look forward to us all working hard together to continue that stewardship. In closing, during this time of year especially, there are so many families that are struggling. It's a hard time emotionally and financially for so many. So as we're entering this and in this season of giving, I ask that we not forget to share any excess that we may have with those that are in need. There are many charities that are always in need of support, not just this time of year, but especially this time of year. The Food for Now Food Bank, Team Mom Charities, and I know St. Teresa's and Palm Springs are almost out of adult clothing for homeless. So if there's anything that anyone in the community can do, please let's keep them in mind. I also want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a safe and healthy Happy New Year's for all of us and our families. Thank you so much.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yes. Robert?
So just so you know, Ivan, I was at Azure Palm on Friday, and the expansion continues. And so I was lucky enough to talk to Maria Elise for a while, and some of her plans. They're going to keep going and going and going. And I know she's got extensive plans for the back part, but I also found out that she's got some plans for expansion in the front. And so I'm looking forward to going there again when they finish that stuff. So I urge everybody, if you haven't been, at least go check it out. It's a fantastic asset to the community. Just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas. Have a great holiday, a Happy New Year. I will see you all in the new year. I hope that you all get to spend some time with your friends and family. And again, welcome to the 2 new board members. We got a great year ahead of us. So that's it.
Thank you, Robert. I want to echo the comments that have been made here, especially by the board. And wishing everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy New Year. I want kudos to staff for putting on excellent presentations, not just this board meeting, but the entire preceding year. You've all done an amazing job. And I want to thank you for your support in my position as president. I am looking forward to, as Director Griffiths said, the achievements and things that are going to be happening in the upcoming year. It's going to be very exciting. And if there's nothing further on there, meeting is adjourned.